And we're now recording, and it's a Monday afternoon on the 17th of May. I always do my chronological thing, and I'm with John Borman from West Point, sort of. Yes, not sort of, and my friend Michael Turner, who's been one of my greatest supporters and now a fellow co-host as we do these conversations with Calvin, We the Species. I've never done this before, but I'm gonna before we jump in and kind of unpack John, who's got so much to talk about in his world at West Point, physical education, boxing, etc., and your background. I mean, there's so much there. We'll kind of get to it, but I find myself doing now a little bit of commercials for some of the people I've recently interviewed here that becomes very relevant and important for me. So these are not commercials. These are acknowledgements of friends now. Quickly, by the way, the other thing I wanted to mention, as folks are going to see this, is do me a favor, go subscribe to this channel. Click that little button, subscribe, because it kind of helps us grow. Now, I have 3 books just to kind of hold up to you all, and then we're going to get to John and Michael. But first, and I'm saying go find this. This is called Manners. It's written by Donald G. James, and it's kind of it's probably an essential reading book because it helps young people develop a sense of manners and to help them guide through life. But Donald G. James and I met recently, and he spent 35 years at NASA. And near the end of his career, for a bunch of years, he was the #2 man involved in education at NASA. Huge. So there it is. Secondly, I met this wonderful, amazing, interesting, fascinating man whose background is beyond. Waeed Hassan, who came from Pakistan to England to the United States a bunch of years ago, and then wound up in California and did 20 years of stand-up comedy and acting and voiceover, and he wrote the struggles for world sanity, because he's now he's a yogi and a mystic and a healer, and just this amazing guy who's had some interactions with UFOs. And I'm reading it, and it's so interesting. And finally, I'm going to interview her, Casey Weisha. I'm the Boss of Me, completely changing the scheme of things. What a wonderful little kid's book, just wonderful. So I'm done commercial, and I want to turn the microphone over to Michael Turner. Michael and I met a few months ago, where else, on LinkedIn, and Michael and I became friends, and he's been such a driving, energetic, spiritual, devoted friend, and keeps bringing these wonderful people into my life, like John Borman, as recently as last night. That's how fast sometimes these things happen. So last night, Michael reached out, and I took one look. I said, "Oh wow, yeah, let's just do this." And so, Michael, you are the essence of what good friends and loyalty is all about, and your interest and your passion. And I'm thanking you on air. So I'm now throwing the microphone over to you, Michael. You take it and
okay.
Do your intros of John, and then we'll bring John on.
You ready, John?
I'm always ready.
Okay, that sounds good. That's like the Army way. I think all the cadets say that. Always ready, right?
That's right.
So I don't know much about John. I think Calvin gave us we did a little pre-talk, and John gave us a big background with his LinkedIn, and he wanted to do a TED talk. And I was like, this is your platform, John, and my I'm a college student. I also work, and like I used to work on West Point Military Academy with John, but it's a federal contractor, not in the military. I never met him. I don't think I met him, but you never know. That base is so big, and there's so many people on that base. It's crazy for such a small town.
Right.
But John, thank you for wearing your green shirt for mental health awareness. It's important, that we bring that stigma away from it, especially like on a military basis, because, PTSD is a major, it doesn't even have to be PTSD, anxiety, social anxiety, the world's changed and we have to help each other. So John, tell us your story. First of all, where's your accent coming from?
So I kind of have a mix. I was born in Wisconsin, so I've got the Midwest accent at first, and then spent almost all of my military career down in Texas. So a mix of Wisconsin and Texan is where it comes from.
So I imagine you're a Green Bay fan.
I am. I am a huge Green Bay fan, and yes, of course, Aaron Rodgers drama is all over the news. So I'm out here trying to figure out, hey, if we've got him, we've got him. If we don't, we don't.
It's okay. They're still going to go to the Super Bowl. It might upset those Rutgers fans, but I think West Point beat Rutgers in 2015 by 10 points.
Yep.
So
Yeah, West Point's got a heck of a football team.
oh yeah. But I heard they have a better boxing team.
They do, yeah. West Point has one of the best boxing teams in the nation collegiately. We've managed to win 10 national championships over the years, and we're definitely on our road to the 11th here soon.
So now 10 champions. And what's your part as, like, I know you talk about it all the time, but now as a civilian, you have a military rank, right?
Yes, yeah. So I'm a major in the active duty. I will be retiring from the Army early next year. But yes, I'm a major in uniform. And with the boxing team, I serve as the assistant coach and also the officer in charge. So I'm responsible kind of for all the day-to-day operations, training them, getting them to their competitions, working in the corner, really just helping them to achieve this level of success that they've had.
That's great. So now you 10 championships, and they're gonna go for the 11th this year.
Yeah, well, so this year they due to COVID, and last year due to COVID, they wound up canceling the national championships. So hopefully next year we'll be able to have them.
2 weeks ago, they had the track and field championship up there.
They did.
Yeah. Were you part of that in any way, or were you just?
I was not. Yeah. My world is boxing, so even though it happens here, I did not have anything to do with those.
Okay. Now let's go all the way back. You started in the military as an enlisted person, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I joined the military straight out of high school. Had no idea what I wanted to do. I had been rejected from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I applied there to go to school. They said no thanks.
Wow.
So I walked into my recruiter's office, said, hey, let's see what this Army thing is about. They offered me $10,000 sign-in bonus to join as a tanker. So I said, that sounds like fun. I can ride around on a tank and blow stuff up. And so yeah, came in the Army, turned 18 in basic training, getting smoked in a PT pit.
That's awesome. That's like such an interesting story because West Point do have enlisted personnel, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So here at West Point, we have personnel that work on the staff that are both junior enlisted. So working here between the garrison command, you have some junior enlisted. So, E1 all the way up. And then on the senior enlisted side, you have NCOs with each of the companies of the cadets, right? So we have tactical officers and tactical non-commissioned officers that are kind of assigned as almost like a first sergeant and a commander for each of the cadet companies that we have here at West Point. So
that's good. So now my next point. So now you know like how they work as like enlisted because you grew up. Is there anybody else on officer level on your post? Like most of them are West Point cadets that become officers, or?
Yeah, so there's a mix. So here for the faculty, you have a mix of both West Point alums, right? So you have a big cohort. I would say the majority of the instructors that come here to teach at West Point in the various departments are West Point grads, right? One, they know the system. They know of West Point. They know that they have the ability to come back and teach. They're high performers, and it's a selective committee that picks them. But we also do get some, like myself, I'm through ROTC commissioning, and we also get some of the direct out of OCS, so Officer Cadet School, that transferred over. So you do have a mix, but definitely the majority of the instructors here are West Point grads.
And now you said you went from enlisted. So you did how many years did you do active enlisted?
Yeah, so I did 10 years active duty enlisted. I made it up to Sergeant First Class and decided to make it a career. So I was closing in on that 10-year mark and switched over to a finance officer.
Now that's a big switch, huh? Like, how do you go from a tanker? It's like,
Yeah.
I guess it's like gunpowder, and there's no, like, there's calculations, I know that, but at the same time, you went to like a tanker to CPA.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in the thought process was, so I coming in combat arms, right? I had kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I deployed to a couple of different deployments downrange. I'd done kind of everything there is to do on tanks. I had become a master gunner. So I trained folks to shoot tanks, and I was responsible for putting together gunnery densities. And so when I switched over to officer, I really was torn between going combat arms, which is a field I knew, or trying something completely different. And so when I was looking at the different branches, I came across finance, which is the smallest branch on the officer corps, besides the specialty branches. And I was like, well, you know what? My only interactions with the finance offices was always, people that would not really have great customer service, didn't care about fix and pay. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to branch finance to fix that problem. I'm going to make sure that if you walk in my finance office, the customer is going to be helped, because we're dealing with people's pay. Normally, it's not just them, it's also their family members. So my whole mission was to go over there and help really improve the finance community.
But okay, so now you're saying, who's your client now? Or who are you paying besides the folks in the military?
Yeah, so when you're in garrison, right, when you're not deployed, your main mission is supporting, the soldiers. But also as a finance officer, we have kind of two tracks, right? The first track is the deployment track, right? That's the dispersing side of house. So when we deployed on range, we are the bank on theater. We also have commercial vendor services where we're generating and paying out contracts for goods that are being done. And then we also have another track that's more on your budget side. So your resource management or your budget piece. So now I'm keeping track of the budget. I'm executing, keeping costs being tracked as we get a big budget from the Army. We're the ones that are executing it. So certifying that funds are available, certifying that that's a valid purchase, and that you have proper supporting documents, and that you're doing it the right way.
So that seems like you can transition your career as finance right to a job in the civilian to a point.
Correct.
Some extra paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the neat thing, right, for Army finance, it's kind of different than corporate finance, right? So I got a degree in corporate finance thinking that was what Army finance was like. It's not as robust, right? We're not really a for-profit company, so I'm not really worried about profit and loss. I'm not really worried about break-even points. And as even the accounting piece, not really a piece that we deal with from the finance side until you get into big Army budget, right? Army budget office is more where you worry about accounting, and now that we have systems to run it. So that piece is different, but the ability to manage funds, the ability to have large sums of money flowing through your hands, accountability of funds, accountability of processes and tracking systems definitely translates in the civilian sector just as well as it does in the Army.
So I'm going to jump in. A couple of things that popped into my head. So you spent a chunk of your life in the military, and I think in a year you're out of the military. So talk about the transition as you're preparing for that, and then the next part of my question is, you started this really fascinating company,
Yes.
Warrior Leader, which has nothing to do with the military.
Correct. Yes.
So talk about that.
Yes. Yep. So transition out of the Army, right? So I've I hit 23 years of active duty service here this summer. I will be retiring early 2022. And in the process of kind of figuring out, okay, what's going to be my next career path? I gathered a bunch of degrees while I've been in. I've been lucky to do a lot of different jobs. So in the process of trying to figure out, hey, what is the next step, right? Do I play it safe and jump into a government contracting role? Do I play it safe and take on a civilian counterpart doing something similar to what I've been doing now? Or do I really kind of expand the horizon? So luckily I was paired up with a Commit Foundation, where they have this Pursue Your Purpose program, right? Where you can kind of go through and you can say, hey, what are my skills? What are my strengths? What do I like to do? What do I not want to do? And in that process, I came across, hey, I'm number one, a passionate educator, right? So my whole purpose in life is to help other people become better people, right? So everything I've done in the military has been building teams of significance or helping develop others, really taking them and helping them find their strengths and use that to make everyone better. So in the process of that, I've sat down and created a warrior leader, right? So the mission at West Point kind of gave me the idea, right? Because the mission here is developing warrior leaders of character. And I said, you know what, that's great, but it's also applicable to everywhere, right? So Company X has leaders there, right? Company X leadership needs to know how to be an effective leader, right? And most people think of a warrior leader as someone that's just trying to close with and destroy the enemy, trying to kill the objective, right? But it's more than that. So the warrior leader is really that holistic approach of being able to be mindful, being able to use character to develop your leadership skills, and be able to have those skills and those tools in your bag. So when you do need them, you have them. So very excited for the company. I'm going to basically leveraging people in my network, people on my team, to be able to be a performance coaching and consulting company to be able to create personalized packages and training modules to help those, you know, out there in the community to become warrior leaders of themselves, right? To be the best possible person of themselves, whether they're leading or not, whether in corporate or whether they're their own business, whether at schools. That's really kind of the end state of warrior leader is bringing all of the skills, knowledge, and attributes that we've gathered here in the military and packaging it up in a product and in a method that's useful for everyone.
Wow. By the way, brilliant.
Thank you.
No, brilliant, because you're taking the excellence of like West Point and Army life, and you're taking those qualities and those essences and those things you've learned and putting it into quote civilian life and helping people develop. What a great, interesting concept. Truly.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
very, very excited.
I'm really digesting that now. You know, it's funny. It's not funny, but we've gone through. Watch how I develop this, because I'm thinking, I'm listening to you, John, and
Yep.
and the world has gone through where the entire planet has been locked in their house for a year, if not longer. So all the rules of this thing up here, I always point to this thing between my two ears. All the rules, all the engagements, all the, I mean, the whole package, you know, the mental health package, the sociological practice, the psychological, I mean, all of that has been altered, probably in some cases irrevocably. So
Exactly.
all the games, the game plans, and all the pathways that we have lived with for generations, you know, you got to throw all that away, and there's got to be a new game.
Correct.
Help, especially young. So what you're doing with Warrior Leader, in part, is really aimed also at young people.
Correct. Yes. So ideally, right, what we're looking to do is get into, you know, the high schools and the middle schools, and help really those that are trying to pursue, you know, leadership. So junior ROTC programs, mentorship, trying to develop even as far as team captains. So working with sports right? Using a team captain training approach and coaches, training coaches to be more effective leaders and building more cohesive teams that can win, doing it right. That's what we're looking to do. Yeah. So outreach all the way down, to
Wow.
youth sports, and then all the way up, of course,
Wow.
throughout.
By the way, unlimited.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's
Completely
big picture.
unlimited and
Correct. Yes, sir. Yep.
and virtually unmined, undeveloped.
Exactly. There's a need. There's an opportunity. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She laughs. She thinks I'm insane. I say, hey, look, like the possibilities are endless, and the need for positivity, right? That's the one driving focus for me, right? Is trying to capture a positive approach, right? Having that optimistic approach, having that positive courage to help others, I think is huge, right? We are all in this kind of weird situation, right? The pandemic, we're all in this fight together. We're all going through stuff. We're all struggling with stuff. You talked briefly about PTSD, right? They said, hey, coming out of COVID, for some people is going to be like a traumatic event, right? For some people, they have lost jobs, they have lost loved ones, they have lost their way, they've lost their processes. So navigating those roads, I think, is going to be a skill set that a lot of people are going to need. And that's another thing, with my team, I've got professionals on resiliency. I've got professionals in mindfulness. I've got professionals in strength development, in nutrition, and sleep, diet, and exercise, right? So all of those facets can really help people be able to rebound and then start thriving in this new community.
You just mentioned nutrition as part of your program, Warrior Leaders. I am a huge fan of nutrition and lifestyle and direction. And years and years and years ago, I set out just a little thing on myself. But you said nutrition. It's like, wow. So
Yes.
Warrior Leader is so comprehensive.
Yeah, it's so
Comprehensive on every
correct.
plane.
Warrior Leader 365, all day, every day, 24/7, every facet of your life, right? Is you should be purpose driven in your life, right? You should wake up in the morning and go to bed feeling like, hey, I did something with my life. I improved on something. I worked on something. I got 1% better at some aspect of your life, right? Most people get to that point in their life where they just want to coast, right? I'm satisfied. I'm comfortable. I'm safe. I'm fine just sitting here. And I want to challenge those that don't want to be in that comfort zone, how to improve, right? Whether it's diet and exercise, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's resiliency, whether it's coping, right? Maybe you've had tragedy. How do you recover from tragedy? How do you recover from a traumatic incident? What kind of tools are available, right? And then partnering with those entities out there, right? So bringing them to the surface, right? Folks that are doing good things, partnering with them, tying them together, and really being a one-stop shop to help those resources, right? And it's not just a veterans network that needs help. It's really everyone out there in the world today.
One-stop shop.
Yes, sir.
A quick, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Michael. But in support of what you're saying, the whole one-stop shop thing, the whole nutrition thing, I set out years ago, years and years and years ago, not necessarily with mindfulness, but with the idea that I wasn't in the mood to age traditionally.
Okay.
I wanted to age untraditionally. I wanted this thing up here to be working full force when I got to be like I am now in my upper 70s. And I started nutritionally, not eating my own. It was my own choice, mostly environmental and humanitarian. But I stopped eating anything with 4 legs nutritionally,
Yeah.
and humanitarily and environmentally, because and a year and a half ago, I had them look in my side, my coronary arteries, to see how closed they were. Because somebody my age, they close up 70-80% closed. I'm gonna need some roto-rooter surgery or whatever.
Yep.
So I had that done, and had a big gigantic Siemens X-ray machine and looked in the coronary arteries, and I came back 0.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is awesome. And to support Warrior Leader and you know the one-stop shopping kind of deal, if people young enough embark on the right pathways,
That's right.
it's a lifestyle. It's not a 6-month deal here.
No, sir.
No, it's a life commitment to you're going to get older one day and do it the right way. So I'm one of the few people, I don't know how many people are in my category, but there ain't too many that are walking around with 0 coronary artery plaque.
Yes.
And it's because of lifestyle and mindfulness in support of what you're trying to do. Michael, take it away.
Okay, I'll take a commercial break because, you know, Calvin and John have like this big story. I'm still starting my story. I'm only 29.
That's right.
I only have like 8 years of work experience. But so I'm a psychology student and I want to get into clinical psychology. And, you know, so West Point, we might get some West Point fans out of this, John. So
Okay.
we have this helpline. You know, it's important that like we just provide this information because I don't think some people don't have the access or some people are scared to ask for help. But West Point does have like a service that they can contact and make appointments with the church or with a psychologist and everything. And I want to attach it to this website. So if any cadets, or I think it's open to even like residents of West Point, they can go and make appointments. And even at the Kelly Hospital, there's support groups. And like if you're struggling with something, like just reach out, talk to your professors, talk to somebody on the street. I know you're graduating. Like I think graduation's 4 days from now.
This Saturday.
This Saturday. And they're practicing planes, I see.
They are.
Out there, if I see the text messages, but that's so it's important, like even like you're dealing with this great success of graduating in a 4-year program that no other, like you go to boot camp too, right? Like they have like military stuff that no other students gonna experience unless they go to like a military academy. And
Correct.
so, John, how did you transition from finance to now where you are at West Point?
Yeah, so I got lucky. My last job as a finance commander, I was downrange in Afghanistan working kind of split operations between Bagram and Fob Shank. And my commander at the time, Major Julie Wilson, had just finished up teaching at West Point. She was an instructor here at the academy. And in the process of working for her, she kind of saw my passion for physical fitness and said, hey, you know what you need to do is apply to teach at West Point. So I kind of put it in the back of my head and deployed back to the States and messed with it a little bit. And I was put on orders to go teach at the finance schoolhouse at Fort Jackson. And when I was out there teaching, I was like, you know what, I like teaching. It's fun teaching. I like seeing that spark kind of go off in people's eyes. So I was like, hey, to continue teaching, I need to go ahead and apply to West Point. So I went ahead and tossed my application in the ring. Luckily, I was approved. So I was able to go to grad school for a year at the University of Virginia, pick up my master's in kinesiology, and then come here and teach. And then I was lucky because it's supposed to only be a 3-year assignment. But for the Army, they have what's called high school stabilization. So my son, at the time, he's graduating from high school this year. So I was able to extend from 3 years to 4 years. And now since I'm retiring, I was able to kind of wheel and deal for that 5th year to slow roll as I drop my retirement.
So did your son go to West Point Military Academy School?
No, he's in high school. So, and he is not coming to West Point Military Academy. So yeah, both my children, they love the Army, the Army brats all the way. They've been very lucky. They haven't had to move as much. They've basically stayed in Texas while I got bumped around on deployments in schools. But so they've been very lucky. They haven't really had to live the quote unquote Army brat life. But in that essence, they've also seen that, hey, it is a lot of hard work and it's a lot of sacrifice, right? There's birthdays, there's entire years that I've missed out of my children's life. And for them, they don't really want to go down that path. So luckily enough, I can use my GI Bill to split between my 2 kids so they can go and study whatever they want to study. So my son's going to be doing computer engineering here this summer. He's going to start.
Where's he? Oh, where's he going to school?
He's going to school. We're going to knock out the first 2 years at SUNY Orange, knock out the community school, smart, save some money, get his general ed, and then ensure that, hey, computer engineering is where he wants to go, and then transfer to another school. I'm not sure yet where he wants to go after that.
Where do you like? So you have this company. Are you going? Do you have a path of where you're going after this, or you have like this company, or you going like you're looking for another job?
Yeah, so I have a couple of very unique opportunities, right? So one, the Army's got a really awesome program called the DoD Skill Bridge program, right? So it's basically I can do an internship or fellowship for 6 months prior to my getting out of the Army. So I'm actually in the process of trying to line up a fellowship or internship with a couple of different companies starting in August. In the meanwhile, really getting my company up and running, getting more people on board. And then I'm also trying to write a couple books, right? I want to really capture the essence of what I've done here at West Point, and then also really the essence of what a warrior leader is. So that way I can package it accordingly. And then it really just depends on how warrior leader takes off, right? If it takes off really quick, and that becomes my full time. If it's slow roll, right, get that momentum behind it, then I'll take on another job. The nice thing is I have some stability because I will be a retired major, so I will have retirement income coming in. My wife is also an ICU nurse, so dual income, and we've been very smart with our money as a finance officer. I love numbers and investments, so we've done good. So I'm in a place where I'm really set up for success regardless of which way I go. And unlike a lot of my veteran counterparts that get out, I've gotten additional stuff, right? So I'm not just reliant upon my military career, all right? I've gone after those education, right? I've got a pretty solid resume. So if I do go into corporate America, I can sit there and take my skills and use them.
So okay, so I'm not in the military, never did the military, but I have this soft spot because like PTSD and how they go to war, they come back and they get these disorders that we still don't understand, and there's so much stuff going on. Was this your pace? Were you always fast paced? Did anything like change in your life that made you want to do this?
Yeah, well, so I would say, right, if anyone who knows me knows I'm high energy, right? All my teachers and from grade school on up, I always was a kid talking, couldn't stay steady. I guarantee you I've got ADD or ADHD, right? One of those two, I don't know, but never got diagnosed, so I've refused to go get diagnosed. Always high energy, always wanting to be kind of upfront, moving and helping people, right? So, all the way back to high school, you talk to anybody, I was always trying to help people kind of succeed. In the Army, I've always been anxious to help people do the best they can. And I've always been high energy and high performing, right? I love setting high goals for myself and my team, and I love achieving them and then jumping to the next one, right? Because, okay, I got to here, all right, what's next, right? Because to me, it's more of the journey, not the destination. I find people get disappointed when it's just the destination, right? You get to that mark, you get there, okay, now what, right? Now what do I have to do? So always having that next goal in line or that next broader thing to really do is what I like. And I like making big goals, right? Because they make it harder to achieve, makes more of a journey in the process. And then for me, really the life-changing event was August of 2004 in Iraq. I got shot in the face, got medevac out of theater, right? And that was one of those turning points where you have your life flash before your eyes, right? I was sitting there on a helicopter wondering what the heck's going on. I knew I had, bullet in my face. I knew that was not a good situation. And you start wondering, hey, what are you doing in life, right? What are you trying to do with your life? What is it that you want to do with your life, right? And since then, every day's been a gift, right? So I try to live every day to the max. I try to forget anything that's bad that's happened and start the next day fresh. And I thought it was a very common thought, right? I thought it was most people do it, right? Most successful people do it. But then as I talk to more people, I realized that a lot of people carry baggage from day to day, from year to year. I've run into people that carry, hate and anger throughout their life. Right. And it really has a negative effect, right? Studies show how bad stress, right? It causes cancer. It causes, you know, a lot of diseases, right? And folks that maintain that don't have a good high quality of life. And so I was like, hey, I've got to kind of take what I know and help them dump that baggage, help them look at the positive, help them, right, kind of move forward, and do it in a realistic fashion, right? I tell people I'm an eternal optimist, and they think that for me, everything is rainbows and unicorns and ponytails, and it really isn't. I take and I break, I'm very realist, right? So say something bad happens, right? So I got shot in the face, right? Very bad event. I could live my life feeling bad for myself. I could live my life saying, oh man, I got hurt. But no, it's one defining moment, right? One literal seconds of my life, 7 surgeries later repaired me. I look fine, at least I think I do. And to me, it's just one little nugget along the way, right? And instead of dwelling on, oh, the negativity or the bad stuff of war, I'm like, hey, like, yeah, that's stuff happened, right? It was chaos, it was bad, but I learned a lot from it, right? And I can continue to push through it. You talk about PTSD, right? So I deployed back from theater, right? Wounded. And in the recovery, I didn't think that I would be, right? My personality, I didn't think I would have PTSD. Matter of fact, first day I came back, my wife's like, hey, what do you want to do? I want to go see a movie, right? Because it's downrange. We didn't have movie theaters. So I remember going through the mall and just feeling off, right? Feeling like all these people don't have a clue what's going on in theater, right? They don't understand the dangers that are in Iraq at the time. And I remember sitting in the theater just worried that people were behind me, people were around me, and just feeling off. And I didn't go talk to anybody about that weird feeling until about 6 months later when, hey, I was having the dreams, I was thinking about it, and it was just causing issues. I was also trying to go to school during the night. And I was like, I was finding it hard to focus. And I was like, you know what? I might as well go talk to someone, right? Like, what's the harm? And it was a specialist who had never deployed, sitting there at this mental health clinic. And I remember I walked up and I was a staff sergeant at the time. And he's like, hey, you know, what can I help you with? I was like, hey, look, I'm just a little off, just, nothing big. And I remember sitting down and he gave me some great tips of, getting a handle on it, helping me with coping techniques, helping me bring it to the future, right? Able to talk about what happened, able to process it, and able to move on. So I was like, hey, that's pretty awesome. And then when I decided to switch over from enlisted to officer, they have you do a mental health eval, right? And I guarantee if I would not have gone and sought out treatment, that I would not have been in the right mental space to be able to switch over to be an officer, right? I wouldn't have had the discipline. I would have, probably struggled. And that's the one sad thing is that a lot of veterans, right? You see suicide rates, they talk about, 22 a day. And you see it's high because they don't take the time or they don't understand the need, right? They think that they're fine. And the thing with PTSD, some people it's immediate, some people it's years down the road. So I've had some very good friends of mine that have killed themselves post-military, right? Once they've gotten out and they don't have that network, that support system, and instead of reaching out, they decide to end their lives. And it's just devastating to me that they couldn't pick up a phone or hit me up on social media to just reach out, right? And that's the kind of the hard part that's out there. And that's the thing that I think in America, right, and even in the world, people are going to struggle is how do they process as we start coming out of the pandemic, as we start returning to a new normal per se, right? How do you avoid people getting into depression? How do you help people out of depression? How do you help people that may have PTSD or other types of symptoms to really boost that resiliency? So that's where I see it as, a need that more people need to be pursuing.
Okay, so I want to jump in with my own experience.
Okay.
You talk about positivity, right? Positivity attracts positivity.
It does.
You said if that therapist wasn't that good, because there's not that many good therapists, would you give up? That's my question to you. Would you go to a different therapist or would you keep going?
Oh, well, so it depends, right? I think in my mind state, if I would have gone to that first one and not gotten what I needed, I probably would not have gone back. I probably would not have gone to another one, right? Because I thought, hey, this is it, right? And I wouldn't have known that there's other options. I wouldn't have known that there's other resources or other people that could help, right? It took me quite a lot of time to get up the courage to walk in there, right? I had driven past the building multiple times. I had told myself I was going. It was on my calendar multiple times. So I think if I would have gone there and they didn't give me anything useful or didn't listen to me and didn't understand that I had problems, I think I probably would have just said, okay, well, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to figure it out on my own.
Okay, now Mike, this might be personal, but did they give you medication?
No, so they offered me medication for both depression and sleep. I'm a big guy on, only time I take meds is if I have an infection. So luckily I was able to find other coping mechanisms, but meds work for a lot of people, right? I've got, people that I've worked with that heavily rely on medication to be productive, to help get them through. I was able to use mindfulness along with little kind of breaks in the day, right? I'm a huge fan of the 20-minute power nap, right? When stuff starts getting overwhelmed and you can't handle it, just clocking out for 20 to 22 minutes, kind of recycle your batteries, reset the mind, and then get after it. It's amazing. My wife laughs because for her, it's about a 2.5 hour reset. But yeah, for me, I'm a big fan of that. And then just being in the moment, right? When you think it's bad, right? Taking a second to really pause and think, hey, what is it about the situation that's bad? Is it something I can control? Is it something that someone else can control? Or is it out of my control, right? And that lets you know how you attack the situation, right? We have this thing called spiraling, right? That we do as humans, right? We get into one bad thing happen and then the next thing and the next thing. And all of a sudden we have this series of negative things. So now we're actively looking for the next bad thing, right? You always hear that, hey, things happen in threes, right? So, oh, this happened. Now what else is going to happen, right? Well, you have to break that cycle. You have to say, okay, hey, that happened. Okay, yep, that was bad or that was not very nice. What's the next good thing, right? Or what can I do to avoid that? What can I learn from my mistake, right? Put an obstacle in front of me. Okay, well, do you see it as an obstacle? Do you see it as a challenge? Or do you see it as an opportunity to learn? And just spinning, right, those words and that thought process helps you to really change your life, right? Just changing the language you use, changing the method that you look at things, right? I always use the glass half full, half empty, right? Pessimist, optimist. Well, if you take that same half full or half empty glass and you give it to an engineer, the engineer will tell you that the glass is twice as big as it needs to be, right? So perspective is everything, right? Depending on how you're looking at that problem can really help design how you get through that problem.
So you got addicted to positivity too.
Correct. Well, I live positivity, right? So I laugh at people all the time, right? I love being positive because one, it's so much more fun, right? I don't know how people can walk around just being mad and depressed all the time, right? It doesn't feel nice, right? And like my daughter gets mad at me because one, I love smiling, right? And it sucks with a mask on because you smile, they don't see your smile, but you can tell in their eyes, right? You can see. And so I love that shortest distance between two people is a smile, right? Big fan of that. And I love that smiles is the longest word because there's a mile between two S's.
Wow.
So just that being nice, right? Asking someone about their day, asking them how they're doing, and actually caring about what their response is, not just that, quick, hey, how you doing, right? Actually caring about them, actually talking to them, actually taking the time to know their name, I think is huge, right? That personal connection, and people love it, right? The easiest way to find out about someone, ask them about them, right? People will tell you about themselves, right? If I'm like, hey, Mike, where are you from? What are you doing, right? Why do you like that? What do you think of this, right? Getting to know people, that connection is huge. And from a positive spin, right? You have two choices. You can take a negative stance or you can take a positive stance. So what do you choose? How are you going to take it? I love it. And I tell people all the time, right? I don't drink coffee. If I did, I'd be flipping over tables because caffeine's too much for me. But I get high on life, right? I get energized. I'm an extrovert. If you took the Myers-Briggs test, I am a debater, right? So I love getting into discussions with people, and I just feed off of other people's energy. And if they don't have it, then I'm going to try to provide it to help you have energy, right? And so that's kind of what I want to take and kind of package that to where everyone on the Warrior Leader team also has that enthusiasm and that passion, right? I don't want a world full of John Bormans. I think that would be very boring. I love having every flavor of the rainbow, right? I want to have everyone that has their own unique strengths and they're passionate about their own things and they have their own level of optimism and positivity and can dump and get rid of that negativity and hate, right? Hate is one of those things that I wish we didn't have that word. And I tell people all the time, right? That's one of my peeves, right? You can cuss, you can say whatever you want, but if you use the word hate around me, you gotta mean it, because I think people throw it around lightly, and hate is such a heavy term, and it takes effort to hate, right? If you hate someone or something, you are wasting energy to carry that negativity with you in life, right? So if you hate a situation or you hate a person, just understand that that is costing you energy and that is costing you stress and emotional baggage, right? So my daughter gets mad because anytime, oh, I hate school, I hate homework. No, you don't hate it. You don't like it, but trust me, you don't hate it. It takes effort to hate something. And that's what I want to get out of our vocabulary is this hate. I also want to take away the us versus them, right? Everywhere you see us versus them, right versus left, liberal versus conservative. We aren't an us versus them, right? I am a mix of everything. You are a mix of everything, right? There's a big melting pot where all ideas, you can't just box it in, right? So understanding that we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses and we all need each other, right? Another thing I want to get rid of is self-made, right? You're not self-made anything. You're not a self-made millionaire. You're not a self-made anything. You're not doing it alone. Because it's impossible. The world we live in is not an alone world, right? It takes a team. You have to rely on others. You have to trust others, whether you want to or not. So that's the piece that I think we kind of miss as a side. We want to dig in. We want to be right. We want our team to win. And we don't care what the other side has to say, right? Where I like to live in the in-betweens. All through school, I wasn't a member of any clique because I was a member of every clique, right? I was with the jocks. I was with the band geeks. I was with the choir. I was with the acting people, right? I was with the smart kids. I was with the dumb kids, right? I got along with everyone because I saw myself in everyone, right? And that's the thing I think is kind of unique is, if we stop and think, right? We all have commonalities. We all have things that we share. So why not embrace those instead of the differences, right? Instead of focusing on I'm better than you, let's focus on, hey, how can we both be better as a team?
Wow.
That's like, you have like inspiring story. We can go on for days.
Oh, I could talk to you guys for hours.
Wow.
But my big thing, like I want to bring up is that PTSD, ask for help. Like if you're scared to ask for help, like just ask somebody and say, I don't know what's going on with me. Like, I just need help. And it doesn't just mean like there's phone numbers, you can do it privately and we can put all this information out there, but it's up to you to make that step. And that's like the biggest, like once you say that I could take control of my life is like the biggest motivator that you should just do. Once you attract that positivity, it keeps coming. And if you track that negativity, you get addicted to that negativity and you keep attracting that, So if you change that mindset, it's hard work and it's not going to be easy. Like even like John has this story. I know hundreds of people because I traveled 8 states with Dredgeman. They work 84 hours a day. And these people have stories. They were in the military. They're from Louisiana down in the coast doing Katrina. And it's hard work. Life is work. And like I practice spirituality and like Zen Buddhists say the first rule is life is suffering. And once you accept that, like there's gonna be days that suck, and you just have to be like, damn, it's okay. Next day is gonna be okay. And I encourage it, like West Point cadets or Brookdale, like psychology students, we could like encourage them, like let's get more people out there and get educated about these disorders,
Yeah.
And John has like this story that you can make a movie out of this. Like Matthew McConaughey can play you from Texas, that poor hood boy, and then big star. And like if you keep going, and like you could be on Shark Tank too.
There you go. Yep. Let's take over. I'm telling you, let's take over the world.
But I thank you for coming out here. And
Yeah.
I don't want to keep it too long, because, but I do have one more announcement for my next guest, because Miss Christian Greco is coming on this week, maybe next week. It's the first week of semester. Everybody's stressed out, and it's important to be mindful of other people's time. So she's become the chair of psychology, and you've been in school for a long time. Do you have any advice to like motivate her or like?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So she's taking, it's a new position, right? She's taking over the chair. So as a chair, she's a leader, right? So great leaders have to lead by example, right? So number one, don't ask your team to do anything you wouldn't do yourself. Number two, they're always watching you, right? There is no turning off a switch, turning on a switch. You're a leader 24/7. You've got to be authentic. And that's, be open, be honest, right? You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Rely on your team to succeed, and give it your best shot, right? Come in every day with the focus of doing great things. You're going to do great things. As you hit those walls, that's merely an opportunity to learn. Don't let that frustrate you.
That's like the best advice. And let's close it up. Because John, do you have a website? Do you have like anything we can like follow your path, like Instagram? Or you
Oh,
like,
I have, John sent me, Facebook, Instagram, which is going to, so John, at the bottom of this video,
Yep.
all this stuff every couple of minutes is going to be inserted. Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, website, warriorleader.com. So all of that will be seen every couple of minutes throughout this
Perfect.
entire video. And,
Perfect.
and I guess I'm going to do a wrap because I'm just trying to process everything, and I could probably talk for an hour on what you've done for me. It's so interesting. I didn't know what to expect when we started this, only because I hadn't met you.
Yeah.
We hadn't met before, and there's some papers and things, but just sitting here listening to you is like, oh wow, for me, what you've spoken about. And it's interesting because you left me with a little bit of a regret, which I didn't expect.
Okay.
And here's the regret. The regret is I sometimes wonder, I marvel listening to you and your grasp and what you're going to do with Warrior Leader. I marvel at that. And editorially speaking, it's really what we, the species, which is the title of my thing, are going to need, that kind of energy and direction and program, really. And I haven't seen or heard anything like it. But the regret I had is, wow, what you've come away and what you've taken away from military life, that's given you all these tools. It had me say, approaching military career as you've done, you're a young guy and you're retiring,
Yes, sir.
and our wonderful government does take care.
They do. Yeah.
They really
get a retirement
do.
check for life.
They really do. And it's too late for me now, but it's a wow. And meeting you has been a wow, and the information that you share is a wow, and we just need lots of people to see it. And I can't thank you enough, and I'm inviting you back anytime you get these books done.
Definitely.
You, Michael, come back and talk about these things or whatever you want to talk about. And when Warrior Leader reaches another level, come back and talk.
Definitely.
I hope my channel grows and it's even more, even reaches a bigger and better audience. But I can't thank you enough for your time and your enthusiasm, your passion.
one more question before I jump in, because I think the cadets want to know, what are you going to do after you're graduating, retiring? We're going to stay up in New York because you're.
Yes. Yeah. So when we moved here, we knew this would be our last duty assignment. So I purchased a house right outside of West Point. So base of operations, at least until my daughter is out of high school. She's a freshman now. So we'll stay here in the area at least until she's graduated from high school. If not, at least until she's through college. But so yeah, base of operations, New York.
So any plebes, I guess they call plebes.
They're plebes, yeah, plebes are the freshmen.
And the freshmen, if you see Joe Borman, like, look, the old boxing coach, 10 championships, soon to be 11. Let's go. Okay, Calvin, you can finish up.
Well, we finished up. But by the way, this was great. John, and I can't thank you enough.
My pleasure.
Back, truly motivational, inspirational. I'm walking around with an oh wow, and I'll have this oh wow feeling for a long time. What you're doing with Warrior Leader, again, I'm going to say it, it is just so needed and so exciting. So I'll keep tabs. We'll keep tabs. We're now connected on LinkedIn,
Yes,
and I want to thank you so much for your time and your passion. Michael, thank you for being a great friend. And we're going to sign off and hopefully to be continued.
Thank
And
you, John.
much success with Warrior Leader.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.